Hello, people. Welcome to another episode of Grand Football Weekly. How are we doing? It's our predictions back again. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Yeah, so game week 13 is just finished, and we're quickly going into game week 14. That's why we're doing this video quickly instead of our normal position. Yeah, so we're going to look at game week 14, but before we do, like we always do, we'll look at game week 13 and look at all our predictions from the Grand Football pundits and see how we fared in game week 13 going into game week 14. Okay, let's look at game week 13. It started off with Brighton playing Southampton on a Friday night. And that one, I expected more from Brighton, but Southampton, fair play to them. They came out and gave us a good game. And they secured themselves a draw, which they normally, everyone would have predicted them. In fact, our predictions reflected that. Everyone went for a Brighton win, and they secured a draw. It finished 1-1. So well done to them. They almost nicked it as well, if not for that leg that was stuck out by the Southampton player that stopped that goal from being counted. It would have been a different story. So well done to Southampton for securing a draw. But Brighton, I'm sure, would be upset at not getting all 3 points in that game. Yeah. So like I said, none of us predicted the right score. Only shout out to King T, who predicted it to finish as a draw, but he didn't get the right score, but he predicted a draw. Yeah. Brentford versus Leicester. I hear Ruud van Nistelrooy is the new manager of Leicester, but he was clever not to start with this game. He waited on the stands for this one and just watch how the team would play against Brentford to see what he's up against. And they started off well, but kind of like, stopped playing at some point and ended up losing the game badly. They lost 4-1 to Brentford. Schade with a hat-trick and Wissa with a goal. He's been popping up with goals left, right, and center, so he'll be happy with that contribution. Yeah. Crystal Palace versus Newcastle. Crystal Palace versus Newcastle. Crystal Palace, again, you'd expected them to win while playing at home, but they're playing a tough opposition in Newcastle, and Newcastle ended up securing a draw for themselves. They haven't been playing very well of late, but they haven't gotten the results that might, reflect where they should be on the table. But that's football for you. That's football. Anyway, they got a draw, 1-1. And shout out to King T again, Finn, Temizak, and OK. These are the guys who got the correct score of 1-1 in the game between Crystal Palace and Newcastle. So shout out to them. Well done, guys. You did well. Nottingham Forest versus Ipswich. Well, no one expected Ipswich to go to Forest to win, unless because of their recent performances, you would say, well, they might pose a threat, but they haven't really won any. Okay, they did win one away from home. I apologize. Their only win is away from home against Tottenham. Yeah, so you might. I'm wrong. They probably should have gone to this game and blissed Nottingham Forest, but Nottingham Forest are a good team and they've been playing well. Bar that result against Arsenal, they've been playing well all season, so they scraped through and got that 1-0 win. Chris Wood coming in with the goal, so they win 1-0. And shout out to Nyema, who got that 1-0 correct. So, well done to Yema. Wolves versus Bournemouth. Wolves versus Bournemouth. This game had goals in it. And shout out to Justin Clivert, who stepped up with a hat-trick. Hat-trick of penalties as well, And Wolves, they didn't start well. And they had too many errors at the back. Imagine a game with 3 penalties. So that just tells you the story. The goalkeeper, Jose Sa, had a nightmare. He probably wants the games to come quickly to try and make amends for that bad game he had against Bournemouth. And Gary O'Neill, you would have thought, playing against his former team, would have wanted to win this one, but his team had other ideas. And they ended up losing. Yeah. So that's finished 4-2 to Bournemouth, and as the result says, no one would have predicted 4-2 in that game, so no one got that prediction correct. West Ham versus Arsenal, another big game, and Arsenal annihilated West Ham 5-2. Could have been more. But credit to West Ham as well. They dug deep and they almost started coming back in the game. But it was too late, because when we added that 5th goal, it just blew the sails of the winds of their sails, and they just tried to start kicking players and all that. But it didn't work. We ended up still winning the game comfortably, 5-2. And you would imagine no one actually predicted 5-2 in that game. Someone came close. Dion, he came close. He predicted 4-2. But the game finished 5-2 to Arsenal. Chelsea versus Aston Villa. Chelsea ran riot against Villa. Villa on a bad run of form. Everyone's not looking at them that much because of how bad the other teams like Man City are doing at the moment. That's why no one's looking at them. But they're on a bad run of form as well. And it's starting to tell in their results. They're not getting the results in Europe. They're not getting the results in the league. And this was a game you would imagine they would use to kind of like say, we're still in this, we're still a force to reckon with. But they went to Chelsea and they lost 3-0. 3-0. Chelsea playing really well. Jackson in with the goals as well. Palmer with a beautiful goal. And, the game was sealed by then. Villa couldn't come back from that. And shout out to King T, who got the correct score of 3-0. So he got that, and he gets the star game points, because we normally have 2 star games of the week, and this was one of them. So he gets the 10 points for that one. King T, well done to you, sir. Man United versus Everton. Man United versus Everton. Amorim's, his first home game in the league, and they ran riot against Everton. Rashford and Zexi with the goals. But in as much as those 2 scored the goals, the player of the match was still Amad Diallo. He was electric. He was just all over the place. Well done to him. So Man United winning that one comfortably, 4-0 against Everton. Now, because of that, I have no hope Everton doing the job for me against Liverpool, because they don't look like a team that can put out a good result against Liverpool the way Liverpool are playing. Tottenham versus Fulham. Tottenham versus Fulham. And that game finished 1-1. And it's typical of Tottenham, isn't it? They just beat Man City 4-0, and you expect them to go ahead in this game and beat Fulham comfortably, but they ended up drawing the game. So this game, everyone expected them to at least try and win, but they they drew. Because you would see my predictions. I went for a comfortable win. I even went very bold. I went 4-0, another 4-0. What was I thinking? I've forgotten it's Spurs we're dealing with here. Yeah, anyway, Spurs didn't win, and they ended up drawing the game 1-1. They drew the game 1-1. Okay, the last game for game week 13 is Liverpool versus Manchester City. Liverpool coming out winners in that one, 2-0 winners in that game. Could have been more. Man City were really poor. I honestly don't know where Pep's going to get his next win from, because in as much as they're playing Forest next, it's not going to be an easy game, because Forests have been playing well. They're the only teams that are beating Liverpool, in as much as they lost to Arsenal. But the way Man City are playing, they could fancy themselves against Man City to get a win. Well, anyway, let's look at Liverpool. Liverpool winning that one, and a great week for Liverpool. A great week. They beat the European and Spanish champions in Real Madrid in Europe, and then they beat the English champions in Manchester City. Their hope, their confidence must be sky high. They're blitzing teams at the minute, and it's interesting to see. But it's difficult to tell where they could drop points this season, because they just beating the teams that you expect maybe them to struggle with. So it'll be interesting to see how that one goes. Anyway, so after game week 13, the table looks like this. Finn is now at the top of the table. He's overtaken Yema, because Yema had a very bad week. Well, he would tell you himself he had a bad week. His predictions were not great, and normally what we do, we have some penalties if you submit late. So he submitted late, so he had another penalty, so which he wouldn't have been pleased with himself for getting that penalty. But anyway, Finn is at the top now with 318 points. And then Yema drops to second with 314 points. And then Osita as well has leapfrogged Chris and David into third, and he has 302 points. So that's the way the table stands after 13 games. Yeah. So let's go into game week 14. Let's look at what's happening in game week 14. The games start today. They come thick and fast. So let's see what's happening. Ipswich versus Crystal Palace. Ipswich versus Crystal Palace. It's going to be a very, very tricky game. And I've got some predictions from the lads, at least for the first time. They're giving me predictions early, because obviously the prediction ends today, and obviously they've woken up from Yema getting penalized from the last one. So we actually get penalized if we come late. So I've gone for Ipswich winning 2-0. I've gone for Ipswich winning 2-0 against Crystal Palace. But some of the lads have got different ideas. The likes of Osita has gone for Ipswich to lose to Crystal Palace. So Crystal Palace winning 2-1 away from home. And Chris also shares that sentiment. Chris has gone for a 2-1 to Crystal Palace. So has Dion. And Kiki is even worse. She's gone for a 3-1 win to Crystal Palace. She doesn't fancy Ipswich at all. And then OK is the only one on my side who's gone for Ipswich to win 2-1. And Timizak and Anu have gone for a 1-1 draw in that game. But my prediction is 2-0 for the game. 2-0. I see Ipswich doing something in this one, but you never know. Leicester versus West Ham. I know Leicester have got a new manager, but I'm sure Lopetegui would probably try and get his boys to replicate what they did when they went to Newcastle. Have a bad game and then go to Newcastle where no one is expecting you to win and get a result. I think that's what he's going to implement in this game. Set them up in such a way that it will be difficult for the new manager for Leicester. But then when you think of it, new manager bounce, are they going to get the new manager bounce? But we'll see. I've gone for West Ham to win 2-1. West Ham to win 2-1. And OK shares that sentiment. Chris shares that sentiment. Tim Isaac shares that sentiment, because they've all gone for West Ham to win as well. Let's look at the next game. Everton versus Wolves. Everton versus Wolves. This one's difficult to call. Both teams lost their last game and they lost them in bad fashion. So both teams might come out in this game trying to make amends. And, the way they might set up might favor one or the other. But I'm going for a draw. And it's difficult to separate these two teams at the moment in my head. So I'm going to go for a draw. And Kiki and OK share that sentiment as well. They've gone for a 1-1 draw. So I'm going for a 1-1 draw in this game. Yeah. Man City versus Nottingham Forest. Like I said earlier, Man City might be struggling with this one because Forest are a good team. They've been playing well. But then again, City need to win. They need that win, at least register a win to get them out of this bad run they are in. They just want to win by all costs. And I'm sure this game is going to be one of them games where they might just get a last minute winner, and that would just open them up and say, right, guys, this is our season started. Let us get ourselves back in the mix of things. And I'm going for a 3-2 win to Man City. 3-2, Man City 3-2. And everyone who has predicted already have gone for a Man City win as well. No one's thought that Forest might just cause an upset. City needs to win this one. So I think that's why everyone is thinking they should. Okay, the next game, Newcastle versus Liverpool. I'm going to go for a Newcastle and a Liverpool draw. So I'm going for a 2-2 draw because I'm just wanting Liverpool to drop points somewhere so Arsenal can capitalize. But they don't seem to be dropping points. But let's see how Newcastle set up. Hopefully Newcastle would give them a bit of trouble and they might struggle to beat Newcastle. Because Newcastle need the points as well. They've been playing average lately. So they might want to win this one. I'm going for a 2-2. And no one shares that sentiment. Either they've gone for a Liverpool win or a Newcastle win. And Dion has gone for a Newcastle win. Every other person has gone for a Liverpool win. Interesting. We'll see how that one pans out. Southampton versus Chelsea. Chelsea are playing really well and obviously, still in the park. They're third behind Arsenal, so they would fancy their chances as well. So I see them continuing their winning run. Southampton have been playing well lately. They played well against Liverpool, although they lost. They played well against Brighton and almost won, but they drew. So this one, I see them doing maybe slightly too much and then losing concentration, and Chelsea capitalizing, because Chelsea have been good on the counter. So they might just get that goal where they were least expecting and win the game. So I'm going for Chelsea to win 2-1 away from home. Chelsea to win 2-1 away from home. Arsenal versus Man United, the big game of the midweek games. And this is an early test for Amorim to see how well he's setting up his team. Similar for Arsenal, It'd be a test to say now that they've changed their manager, can you actually play well against a team that looks on the ascendancy? And I think Arsenal will win this one. They should. They must. They should. And I'm going to go for Arsenal to win 3-1. 3-1. And Dion shares that sentiment with me as well. And Chris, who's an Arsenal fan as well, says Arsenal will win 4-2. Interesting. But we'll see how that one pans out. Some haters there, some haters. I can see their predictions. Some have gone for a draw. What are you drinking? Osita and Temizak, Arsenal haters. I see you. They've gone for Arsenal to draw 2-2 in the game. And a Man United fan has predicted Arsenal to actually win 3-1, Dion. And another Man United fan has said, nah, I'm going for Man United to win 2-1, okay? We'll see how that one pans out. Oh, I forgot Temizak. That's why he's predicted 2-2. He doesn't want to give us that win, but he cannot say Man United would win. So he's gone for a draw. We'll see how that one pans out. Aston Villa versus Brentford. Aston Villa versus Brentford. I feel Villa have to step up. They have to use this game to step up and try and start winning games. So I see this one. I see them getting a result in this one. I see them getting a win. And I'm predicting Villa to win 3-1. 3-1. And across board, it's mixed. We've got some for Villa win, some for a draw, and one person, Anu, for a Brentford win away from home. We'll see how that one goes. Fulham versus Brighton. Fulham versus Brighton. Fulham, they're at home, and they tend to play well when they're at home. But Brighton tend to play well away from home as well. So this one would be a bit tricky, but I'm going for Fulham to win just by a slight margin. 2-1. I'm going for 2-1 for this one. And across board, a lot of people have gone for Brighton to win. Osita, Anu, and Temizak, they've gone for Brighton to win. And Kiki, Dion have gone for Fulham to win. And I can see OK and Chris are undecided because they've gone for a draw. They couldn't split the teams, so they've gone for a draw. Yeah. And the last game for game week 14 in the midweek games is Bournemouth versus Tottenham. Solanke going back to his former club. Can he do it? It'll be interesting to see if he's up for it. But I think Bournemouth will win. They're starting to play really well. And Spurs will always be Spurs. When you expect them to win, they won't. When you least expect them to win, that's when they win. So this game, quite a few people might expect them to go to Bournemouth and get a result. But I see them losing this one. And I'm going for Bournemouth to win 3-1. And a few people... In fact, I'm the only one going for a Bournemouth win from those who have sent their predictions already. Osita, Anu, Kiki have all gone for Bournemouth to lose 3-1. And Temizak and Chris have gone for Bournemouth to lose 2-0 and 2-1. And Dion has gone for Bournemouth to lose 3-2. Wow. So everyone has actually predicted a Tottenham win, bar myself. Well, it's always good when you're on the other end, so that when you get the result, you're the only one with the points. Yeah. Okay, we'll see how this week pans out. Yeah, so that brings us to the end of our predictions. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I'll see you in the next video, guys. Bye for now.
Don't check this.